Here we are again. So, yesterday I put the no coats on and the corner beads, and I showed you that I put my corner beads on first and then I do the no coats. So let me show you what they look like dry. So here's the corner bead that we worked on yesterday. Okay, now look how it joins the ceiling up there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna finish all this wet on wet right now. I don't typically like to do things wet on wet. As you see, I ran this bead, I ran that bead already, I ran that one, and so forth. And I've gone all the way around the room. When I got here this morning, I ran my box and did all the flats. I've still got a couple butt joints. I'm gonna hand run these because I didn't want to mix up a whole bucket of boxing mud just for those couple butt joints and these couple flats right here in the stairway. But all the beads are run, and I even did one no coat. So my steps are, I'll box it just like I did, then I'll come back and I'll run all my beads, then I'll run my no coats, and I'll run my angles last. Now the reason I run my angles last is because when you come into stuff like this right here, okay, this is wet on wet. I pulled in here with my knife a little bit. By the time I get done running all my ceiling angles and my up and downs, that'll be dry. And I'll be able to come back on this and just give it a little touch up right there. I don't have to sand anything. It's gonna be perfect for me to finish. But with no further ado, let me set this up here so you guys can see how I run these beads. And the no coat, and we're gonna try to get the camera set up here so I've got the angle and everything. I think you guys can see most of everything right there. And I'm gonna explain this the best that I can and the process that I use. Now, like I said, I'll typically go through an entire job and I'll run all the corner beads. And by the time I get done running my corner beads, they're set up. So then I can come back, I can hit my no coats. I can even hit my no coats as I'm hitting my angles at the same time. Because this is only the bed coat, and I'm gonna come across it one more time. Now, when you're doing the beads, just give it a little straight, okay? Make sure any goobers, anything that can really mess it up. And I start on this side. I'll do these last. Some people run both sides at one time. I don't want to get that way. I'll put my mud on, I'll pull it out like this. I'll start up here a little bit, come down, and just apply it on. I'm putting a pretty good coat on. I want to make sure this thing is flat. When I stick my knife on it, and you can't see in the video, but I'm actually leaving a line. If you zoom in, you might be able to see it. Now I'm reaching up as high as I can. Some guys might not be able to go that high. As you see, the flats are damp and they're flat. But if you go easy across them, when you're crossing your butt joints, you're actually tying them in perfect. And I'll leave my lap mark right here. If I got anything, when I'm coming across this flat, I can just give that a quick scrape and it's done. Like I said, I'm not sanding in between coats. Oh, sorry, I got on this side over here. I hit it with my knife. All right, back to this one. So I kick a bucket. This is 9 foot. I stand 6'5". And I'll fill this in up here. Bring it down. You're gonna drop mud if you don't catch it. I'm not pushing hard. I'm just making sure it's full. That's the biggest thing about corner beads. There's a lot of people that have to 3-coat a corner bead. And the reason being is they're pushing hard. If you let the knife do the work, you don't have to push hard, and that thing is absolutely flat. If you zoom in on this knife, you can see my line there. You see? And that was with one stroke. Now I'm gonna do another one. And you see I got some goobers here. A little bit more pressure, just a little bit more pressure there. And that's it. Now, I'm gonna come down here on this side and do this one. I'm gonna pull it out a little bit. I'm gonna come up like this and go outwards. The reason I'm going outwards is I don't want to get stuck on the side I've already finished. I'm gonna start down here. It didn't quite fill it as much as I wanted. And there you go. Now, a lot of times guys will get light spots right here in the middle. And the reason is because that's a pull-off place for you. And you have a tendency to push a little harder on your blade when you're pulling it off. I try to take it through that point when I'm wiping. Now, I'll wipe down and I'll go all the way down as far as I can. And again, I'll bring it all the way back up. And I just want to keep it even. That's all. Okay, and then we'll just give her a little cleanup here. Boom. And then we'll come up to the top part. Now, again, check it. If you can zoom in on that, you'll see the line in the bead. I'm actually just a little bit heavy. But the skin coat on that is hardly anything. If you get these flat the first time and you're not fighting the mud. A lot of guys overthink finishing. And you don't need to. I've been doing this since 1997. And for any of you guys who are in the Maryland, Northern Virginia area, or heck, even in Alaska, I've finished drywall in Kodiak. But it's taken me all over the place. And I learned things from older finishers. And I didn't have, per se, teachers. I had people that I worked with that were stubborn as hell, and you had to pry information out of them if you wanted it, or you just watched them. So, that's that. Now, let me run this bead real quick, okay? I'm going to use a 4-inch knife, just like I applied when I put the no coats on. And I'm going to pull it right up to about here, okay? Because I know that it's full over at the end of the bead. Okay, so I'm going to leave that like that. We're coming with my 6 now, and just wipe it. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is because the next coat, I'm going to put it on with a 6. That's all I'm going to do. If I have a little void right here, I can hit that, and I'll show you the void. I can hit that with my angles. Because by the time I finish all the no coats upstairs in this room and everything, I can come back and hit any little voids like that while I'm spotting screws or running angles. The last thing I do is spot screws because it gives me a chance to kind of detail the job out. Now again, I'm not pushing hard on these no coats. I'm just putting the mud on, I'm simply wiping it off with a fork. Now I'm going to try to get this one on the ceiling. It's a little high, but I'll show you what I'm talking about when I'm turning these corners. Now I'm going to come out here just like this, because I'm only trying to coat the edge of the no coat. That was a stretch over there. Usually I'd be on stilts coating these, but I wanted to make sure you guys could see everything. There you see? I'm not pushing hard. Just a little bit to get that mud smooth. And then right there. Now, a lot of guys like to finish their angles before their corner beads. I don't do that. I always finish my beads. Well, the process I do is my flats, my butts, my beads, no coats, then angles. My last thing is I spot screws so I can touch up anything on this coat. And it makes it easier. It makes it easier to skim it. I mean, basically, each coat you're setting up for success for the next one. So I'm going to come across this just to show you an idea. I'm going to run this ceiling side of the angle. Okay? Now, for some reason, guys will try to finish these first, and then they'll come back. Now me, I'm not doing that, because this is all I'm doing. real light. I don't mind if I leave a line here on the inside of that corner bead. Now, I'll tell you the reason why is because I'm going to skim that. And when I skim it, it's going to fill that in. And when that dries, I'm going to come across the bottom angle and it's going to fill it in one more time and it's going to be absolutely perfect. I run my ceiling sides of the angles first across my flats. Even though the flats are damp, I'll run them across the flats so that if I have any blemishes on that skim coat, when I run that skim coat on that flat, I can fix any blemishes. Now, you guys just saw the complete of this corner. Now, you see there's still a little line there, okay? And there's a little lap mark right there where I left the lap mark, which is fine because everything's wet on wet. Typically, I would be coming through and that would be dry. But I can hit that little mark right there when I'm spotting screws after it's set up and completely dry, and you'll never see it. And I'll do one more video of the third coat of this section right here, because this is kind of what I'm specifically working on. And look how sharp these corners are. Now you see where I'm a little light right here? I didn't want to pull too far into that bead because it's wet on wet. I wanted to make sure it was full here with the bead when I ran it. And when I come back on my screws, I'll touch this up a little bit and it'll be completely flat and perfect. So that when I skim on my skim coat, you'll never see any of this anymore. So I'm trying to show you guys the best ways I've found to do things. But again, it's easier dry on dry. I just ran everything up there wet on wet. That corner looks sharp, and that's what people want to see in their houses. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and thank you again very much for watching. Hopefully we can get some more subscribers to this channel, and I'll teach as many videos as I can and try to give you guys as many pointers as I can.